Cozy Heart, a My Little Pony fanfic by StarThief. Chapter 9, Doesn't Sound So Bad. Flurry tightened the last knot in the ribbon around Cozy's mane and stepped back with a pleased smile. Perfect. There's the Cozy I know. Let's say goodbye to sugar cream for now. Hide your undercover identity when we go out. Like Spider Pony. Or Bot Pony. Cozy exhaled, glanced at the mirror, and allowed herself a small smile before looking back at Flurry's gentle grin. Sorry about earlier. I panicked. I know a lot of ponies still hate me, probably most of them, so maybe I got more scared than normal. It's normal to feel scared, Flurry said, pulling her into a light hug. No matter how big the problem is. Auntie Celestia once told me that my Twilight used to go bonkers over a single late homework assignment. I suppose that's less serious than the risk of being turned back into stone. Cozy returned the hug, then looked at herself in the mirror again. Thanks. Elsewhere, Twilight Sparkle entered her bedroom balancing a tray with 2 cups of tea and a plate of cookies. She found Rarity sitting on the edge of the bed, perfectly composed, and offered her a kind smile as she set the tray down. Oh, darling, you've done wonders with this decor, Rarity said. I learned from the best, Twilight replied, lifting a cup in her aura and taking a sip. All right, let's address the elephant in the room, Rarity continued, drawing a breath. Why? I may have overreacted earlier, but still, why? It wasn't my idea, Twilight said quietly. I disagreed at first. Rarity's brows rose. Then whose? Flurry Heart's, Twilight answered. The way she brought it up made me mad at first. But that changed when I saw what she was trying to do. She truly regretted how she went about it, but not the decision itself. Fluttershy and Spike reminded me it wasn't so different from what we did with Discord. Same kind of leap, really. Rarity stared into her tea. The room was dim, she could almost see her reflection in the surface. Yes, but... Cozy aided Chrysalis and Tyrek. That's a difference. They tried to destroy you, dear. They would have, if they could. I remember, Twilight said gently. And I'm not naive about Cozy's nature. I haven't given her trust easily. I remember the school of friendship and the way she used that sweet little filly act to fool every pony. That's why they're under watch 24/7. Both of them. And there's a binding spell, if either gets too far from the other, the spell snaps them back together. Rarity nodded and took a careful sip. What will you do if this goes wrong? The advantage we have now is that Cozy doesn't have access to magic. Yesterday was different thanks to Fancy Pants, but without that, her cutie mark and her usual look would give her away, and she can't cause much damage. Still, if this fails, I'm afraid there won't be more chances. She has until the end of summer. After that, back to stone. Twilight paused, then added, softer, but these last few days I've noticed something. I'm not blind, I know she's still planning something, still clinging to her worst impulses. But I also see how she and Flurry fit. Cozy wakes up something in Flurry, some eager, earnest drive. And Flurry, somehow, keeps Cozy in check. She brings out Cozy's better side, not just for show. When Flurry steps in, Cozy actually calms down. This morning, when you recognized her, Cozy panicked, but a few words from Flurry and she could breathe again. Yesterday at the orphanage, the press called it gossip. But Flurry just helped her friend, and it worked. Rarity watched Twilight for a long moment and then smiled faintly. I've seen that look on you before. I know you, darling. I'm not a fan of the idea, but I admit you have a point, and you've kept things under control. From what you've told me, I think I can have a little faith. I'm not asking you to accept it all at once, Twilight said. You can be skeptical, like Rainbow. I only ask that, for now, you keep it secret from the others. Once we're in Ponyville, they'll have to know. But until then... You have my word, Rarity said. Twilight's shoulders softened with relief. Thank you, Rarity. Rarity stood. As for Fancy Pants, don't be too hard on him, Twilight interjected with a guilty grin. He was doing me a favor. Rarity waved it off. Leave Fancy be. I'd actually like to see Flurry and Cozy. Out in the hallway, Flurry and Cozy were headed for the gardens, 2 guards trailing them as always. Flurry had kept the plan simple: fresh air, birdsong, no pressure. She could still feel the tightness in Cozy's chest and didn't want to crowd her. You know, Cozy said, I never told you this, but I used to birdwatch. During migrations, you'd see so many species pass Cloudsdale. It was nice. There are plenty around the castle, Flurry said with a warm smile. We can watch as long as you want. They rounded a corner and nearly ran into Twilight and Rarity. Cozy tensed at once and moved closer to Flurry. Flurry unfolded a wing and drew her in protectively. Girls, Twilight said, would you mind if Rarity spoke with you both? Flurry started to say yes, then glanced at Cozy. The Pegasus swallowed and nodded. I'll be in the throne room if you need me, Twilight said, leaving them with an encouraging smile. Flurry greeted Rarity softly. The unicorn approached with poise and stopped at a respectful distance. I must admit, you two surprised me, Rarity said. I expected many things today, but not this. It's, well. Please don't pretend to be nice, Cozy blurted, then winced. Rarity dipped her head, a bit abashed. I'm not pretending, dear. I'm sorry about earlier. It was simply a lot to process all at once. That's why I'm here, to give us a fresh first impression. Flurry and Cozy exchanged a look, then together said, all right. Wonderful. Rarity's eyes softened as she turned to Cozy. I know some excellent places in town. Let me take you both. No need to ruin your mane again, just the dress and a hat will do. And I promise, we won't touch your lovely curls. Cozy finally smiled and nodded. Marvelous. Freshen up and meet me at the front gate, Rarity said, turning away. Cozy hesitated. Why are you doing this? She asked, looking down. Because if you're being given a second chance, it's for a reason, Rarity said. You'll have to talk to more ponies and visit more places, whether planned or not. Today you're with me. I want to meet you, the new you. Cozy's smile deepened. She and Flurry returned to their room to get ready. Cozy set the fancy pants hat on her head and checked the mirror. Flurry removed her usual jewelry. This time I'd rather not scream princess, Flurry said. We saw what one little hoof holding did yesterday. If we're spotted shopping today, they'll call it official and say it was a date. Cozy's eyes widened as Flurry shook out her mane. Without its clips, her longer curls cascaded over the left side of her neck in a glossy wave. What? Flurry asked, suddenly self-conscious. Is it a mess? You just don't usually wear it down, Cozy mumbled, flushing. Oh, right. Flurry wrapped a soft scarf around her neck and checked the look. Not bad. Cozy slipped into the same dress as the day before, mostly to hide her cutie mark. With the hat shading her signature curls and part of her face, she felt less obviously herself. When they were ready, they met Rarity at the gate and set out, 2 guards shadowing them. Heavens, Rarity murmured, glancing back. Twilight wasn't exaggerating about the constant supervision. You get used to it, Flurry said. Speak for yourself, Cozy muttered. Flurry winced. It's been harder for Cozy. Rarity nodded and, after a moment, looked to Flurry. So where did this idea of freeing her come from? It doesn't happen on a whim. Flurry blushed, then glanced at Cozy. A hunch. And discord had something to do with it. But mostly. I wanted to know what she was like. I wanted to know her. Cozy's cheeks warmed. She kept her eyes forward. And you, Cozy? Rarity asked, gentle but direct. Any plans for the future? I assume you genuinely want to change if you're doing all this, and I do have faith that you can. What happens when you pass, so to speak? Cozy went quiet. She hadn't truly thought that far ahead. She'd been clinging to her long game, earning trust, looking for an opening. She could feel herself slipping lately, but she pushed that thought aside and reached for a plausible answer. Maybe, look for a family, she said. Flurry brightened at that, surprised and touched, knowing a little of Cozy's past. They turned onto a bustling Canterlot street, elegant ponies everywhere, a few cheerful vendors, a city fully awake. Cozy hadn't seen Canterlot like this in so long, certainly not like this. She followed the others into a boutique. The sign above the door wasn't Rarity's emblem. "Is this one of your shops?" Cozy asked. "No, dear, just a favorite," Rarity said, already scanning a rack. "You support your rivals?" "Rivals?" Rarity laughed. "Please. I enjoy shopping elsewhere, that's all. Even if some pony fancied themselves my rival, I wouldn't waste time on feuds. That isn't why I design. I'm trying to capture what inspires me." She floated a dress in front of Flurry so it lined up with her reflection and inspire others in turn. "That's nice," Cozy said, uncertain but intrigued. "I thought the fashion world was all about beating every pony else in sales." "It is about selling," Rarity said, "but if I obsessed over dethroning others, I'd lose the joy that started it all. I love this work. Earning bits for it is lovely, but I won't let that be the only measure. If some pony sees a piece and feels something, even if it's different from what I felt creating it, then I've succeeded." Cozy was surprised by how much that moved her. She turned to browse, mostly to hide her face. "Rarity! What a miracle to see you here," said a pistachio-green pony hurrying over in a tidy little hat. "Pistachio, darling!" Rarity exclaimed, hugging him warmly. Flurry smiled at the sweetness. Cozy blinked, unsure what to make of it. "Now look at you, and still wearing that hat," Rarity teased. "Of course. It symbolizes our friendship and inspires me to keep trotting this fabulous fashion path. I'm just an assistant here for now, but soon you'll see me topping the lists right beside you, Auntie." He beamed. "How can I help? Let's test your eye, Rarity stepped aside so Pistachio could see Cozy. Cozy jolted, taking a half step back. "The Pegasus from the paper," Pistachio said at once. "Divine on the page, but, no offense, this ensemble isn't you. In the photograph it's lovely, but in person, it doesn't harmonize with her eyes and those ocean blue curls. Hiding everything but the forelock is fine, but only up to a point. See?" Rarity said brightly. Cozy flushed. She knew he meant well, but she didn't understand half of what he'd said. Flurry laughed softly. "I'll find her something proper," Pistachio said, then glanced at Flurry and gasped. "And how dare any pony let the princess of the Crystal Empire go out without adornment? That radiant mane and those glorious wings deserve accents. To leave them bare is practically a crime." "Me?" Flurry squeaked, mortified, and now Cozy shared her embarrassment, giggling. As Pistachio trotted off, Rarity leaned toward Cozy. "You see? No one suspects it's you. Still, don't take this the wrong way, but that hat is reserved for Fancy Pants Society. For your sake and to avoid trouble later," she floated over a different hat with attached sunglasses, whisked the old one off Cozy's head, and settled the new one in place. "There. Still beautiful." Cozy blushed. "Thank you." Flurry glanced over, a small pink tint in her cheeks. Rarity noticed and filed it away with a satisfied little hum. Pistachio returned with two short, elegant dresses. Clean lines, finished hems, ease of movement, no tripping hazards. "They won't show cutie marks, alas." "That's exactly what we want," Rarity said. "Thank you, Pistachio. You never disappoint." He blushed and darted off, leaving the dresses draped for them. "Go try them," Rarity said, smiling. "I'll browse for myself." In the fitting rooms, each filly ducked behind a curtain, then both paused, suddenly shy at the thought of stepping out. "Well, let's see," Cozy said, slipping inside. Flurry did the same. Flurry fastened her dress and turned to the mirror. Pistachio had nailed it. She looked pretty. Meanwhile, in the next stall, Cozy stared at her reflection a moment longer with her current clothes still on. She slipped off the hat, regarding her curls, and a quiet, ugly memory surfaced. A Pegasus as ugly and annoying as you will never be accepted by the others. Her jaw tensed. She inhaled and forced the thought away, replacing it with Flurry's voice instead. "I'm not done," Cozy whispered to herself. "Every pony will see who Cozy Glow is." She tugged at the zipper. It snagged. What was the name you gave me this morning?" Rarity's voice floated through the curtain. Sugar Cream," Cozy answered, flustered. "Sugar Cream, dear, I found a scarf that might flatter you. Perhaps you'll like it." The fabric slid in under the curtain. Cozy looked at the scarf. Pretty, but not her. "I think the dress is enough. I've never cared much about my appearance at that level of vanity, no offense." "None taken," Rarity said pleasantly, withdrawing the scarf. Rarity?" Cozy ventured. "Yes? I need help. This thing is stuck. A bit of unicorn magic would be useful." Her ears reddened. Rarity chuckled and stepped in, careful and professional. "Hold still." Her magic worked the zipper free with a soft click. "There," she said. "All set. Thanks. You can go." Rarity met her eyes in the mirror. "For what it's worth, I'm very happy to have a new first impression with you. You are a very beautiful Pegasus, Cozy. Please remember that." The words hit precisely where the old insult had bruised her. A tear welled before she could stop it, accompanied by a small, unguarded smile. Sorry, I only meant." "Thank you," Cozy said simply. "Don't let any pony convince you otherwise, Rarity winked. "I'll be out there." A few minutes later, both curtains opened at once. Cozy and Flurry stepped out, saw each other, and froze with matching blushes. The dresses were modest but elegant, each looked exactly like herself, only a little brighter. Rarity approached, ready to compliment them, then paused at the way they stared at one another. The look confirmed her suspicion from earlier. Perhaps what the paper hinted at wasn't only gossip. Early days, though, whatever this was, it was only beginning to shape itself in their hearts. Ahem! Both jumped and stood straight. "You look, lovely," Cozy managed. "Thank you. So do you," Flurry replied. Rarity laughed softly. "Do you like them? If so, I'll pay." "Rarity, I couldn't let me," Flurry began. No, darling. I insist. A gift for you both. Say yes and let me do this." They exchanged smiles and nodded. Rarity floated the dresses to the counter and paid without fuss. The three of them stopped at a cafe nearby and took a table outside. They'd visited more than one shop, and the afternoon had turned unexpectedly pleasant. Cozy and Flurry were chattering about fabrics and displays, and Rarity found herself smiling yet again. Perhaps Flurry had been right about Cozy. With caution, yes, but watching her now, Rarity saw not a schemer, but a young mare beginning to live new experiences. "What shall we order, girls?" Rarity asked, eyes warm. Back at the castle, Twilight flopped onto her bed with a small sigh. She'd cancelled her meeting, but the day still managed to feel heavy and dull. She levitated off her crown and jumped at a firm thump against her window. She hurried over and opened it to find a gray Pegasus with a blonde mane and adorably wall-eyed gaze hovering outside, a letter clenched in her teeth. Twilight smiled and took it. "Thanks, Derpy." "Pleasure, Princess." "Not sure why this came through Ponyville if it's from the Crystal Empire," Derpy mused, then zipped off to continue her route. Twilight broke the seal and immediately recognized her brother's blocky hoofwriting. "Twilight, I hope you and Flurry are having a wonderful time. I'm guessing by now you're already in Ponyville with the girls. Give every pony a hug for us." Twilight chuckled as she read aloud. But our visit isn't for a few, never mind. Ahem. Cadance was very happy when she saw the paper. It looks like Flurry made a new friend. That tells us she's doing well. Best of luck. Yours truly, your favorite big brother, Shining Armor. Twilight smiled, both grateful and a little nervous. No pony seemed to have recognized Cozy in the photo, not even Cadance or Shining. Still, for a trashy little headline, that newspaper had caused quite a ripple in all the circles that mattered.